In this video, we're covering exactly how to launch your social media career in 2026. There are 3 parts in this video you need to understand to reach- Wait. Before I start, let me introduce myself. My name is Michael Deas. Yes, like Mike.
These nuts.
I've been behind the scenes producing content for some of the biggest brands like PrizePicks, DraftKings, and CBT News. I've done everything from original content to paid ads, memes, and full campaigns. Grab some popcorn and a notebook because this is gonna be a movie. Enjoy. All right. Let's really get into the meat. The nitty gritty, some may say. There's going to be 3 things you need to understand to get into social media. So the 3 things we're going to cover is going to be the world of social, branding, and your portfolio. These are the things you're going to need to understand to get that career. So in the world of social, we're going to cover what kind of positions you can apply for. What is 2026 going to look like? The language of social media, formulas, kind of industry terms, what's working on each platforms, and I'm going to give you specific examples I've used or I've done for big brands. I'm also going to cover the tools and a quick guide on each one to be successful in creating content. Tools like Photoshop, Premiere, and we will cover Canva. So in the branding section, we're going to talk about branding strategy, what brands look for. Also, when you're applying to a job, they want to see that you can actually bring their tone and then take that strategy and apply it to a brand. So I will have a specific example of Papa John's that we're going to walk through together. So that's going to be an audit. We're going to look at all their social media and what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, how they can improve. This part of the video is going to be the golden ticket to getting that job. Then we're going to move on to packaging yourself, getting your LinkedIn, a portfolio website going, and then actually applying. This video is going to have a ton of value. So I'm going to make sure to have a checklist in the description for you so you can go through all the tools, all the tactics, and the formulas you need to study to get that job. On top of that, I'll have my portfolio as an example and the pitch deck that we're going to create for Papa John's in the description. So let's dive in. All right, let's get into the 2026 predictions. So I don't have a crystal ball, but these are where the trends are heading. Brands are finally getting a grip on social media. They're understanding it more. They're hiring people for it. It's real now. But brands aren't evolving yet. They're trying to do the edgy comments like Wendy's and McDonald's. They don't know how to create a big story and make experiences and make people feel something through their social content. The next thing, I'm betting Instagram is turning long form. Now, hear me out. Instagram just announced today, as recording December 16th, they announced they're moving Instagram to TV. This is going to be short form still, but I think this is going to be an avenue for creators to start creating long form video. Because you see YouTube dominating on TVs and people are binging YouTube videos on TVs. So like I said, I think long form is going to dominate going forward. I think brands should start leaning into more longer form, more episodes or a series of episodes on social media. I think long form is going to be awesome because you can really be authentic in your brand. And people want that. You see AI flooding the feeds, and people don't want that. People want authentic content. Now, this next one isn't entirely social media, but experiential marketing. This is going to be massive. Like I said, AI and slop content is people, especially Gen Z, wants real experiences. They want to be able to feel and connect to a brand. And I think short form video is losing that authenticity. You're seeing tons of brands do these pop-ups now. Like Olipop just did a SpongeBob collab and they were set up outside and it was massive. And why I bring experiential marketing into social media is because that event turns into content. And that could be 100 pieces of content from the leading up to the event, the teasing of the event, the actual event, and then you're including influencers and micro creators and UGC, just content from people that are at the event creating organic content for you. Now, event marketing isn't new, but it's undervalued right now. And I think going into 2026, tons of brands are going to do this. Now we know the predictions. Let's dive into the positions that you could be applying to. So I've been around the block. I've seen tons of job descriptions. I've applied to hundreds and hundreds of jobs, and I know what they ask for. So let's dive into positions that you could get as a social media person going into 2026. So the first one, the social media intern. I've been there. It's a great place. You're learning, you're growing. So as a social media intern, you're probably expected to make light content creation. You're probably doing a lot of replies, like comments, some light ideation, and you're just learning the ropes. The bare minimum, I would say, is some kind of light video editing experience and graphic design. This is going to be your entry point from college or while you're still in college, but you don't need to be there long. Get your experience and get on to the next thing. You should be making bare minimum 16, but you're generally going to make $18 to $20 an hour. Next, we're going to dive into the entry-level jobs that are full-time. First off, the social media coordinator. You're coming from an intern, and this is your full-time job after college. You're doing the day-to-day posting. You're creating the content, replies, memes, short-form videos, you name it. You're generally the one making all the content. Typically, you're going to be making $20, $25 an hour, or $40K to $50K is generally where you're going to start. Then you go into a social media manager role. This is the strategy. This is the execution blend. You're managing content calendars, some campaigns, and some team oversight. So I would say you're generally not making as much content, but you're overseeing the strategy and like the campaigns. And you can be making about 50 to 70K. Another step up would be the community manager. Now, the community manager is a newer role, or I would say it goes unnoticed, but it's vital for a big brand to have. You are the king of engagement, social listening, and kind of customer service person. You're turning listening reports into actionable feedback for product or the marketing team. You're almost that bridge from the brand to your audience. So you could be making Discords, managing Discords, Slack channels, Facebook groups, hosting online events, just things that engage the community. You could be making about 60 to 90K in this role. Now, the social media director, you are overseeing all the channels. You're the vision of the brand on the social front. You're leading the team, so you're overseeing social media managers, community managers. You're the big picture and big strategy, big campaigns person. Now, once you get to this role, you're making 80 to 100, 120K a year. So stepping down a little bit, you can also go in as a paid social specialist. So that's going to be mostly the paid side, working in Meta. Now you're doing ads, targeting, conversion optimization, doing ads on Meta, TikTok, LinkedIn, Snapchat ads, depending on the brands. But you could be, making about 50 to up to like 100K a year. So now that you know where you could land going into social media, let's dive into what metrics you need to know and what's kind of the language of the social media industry. So we'll just skim through some of these and I'll explain some, but some are pretty self-explanatory, but definitely important to understand when you're going to be leading a weekly meeting on how your content is doing for the week. Leaders need to understand what's working and what's not working. These are the metrics that are going to help you understand your content and how it's performing. So let's start with the basics. Impressions or views. So impressions are every single time someone views a piece of content. So this could be someone could see the same content over and over again, and that counts as an impression. So for reach is different. Reach is every device, you could say, that connects with your content. So you could have more impressions than reach because that one device can have multiple impressions. So for engagement, that can be likes, comments, shares, bookmarks. All that is summed up into one number. So your engagement rate is your engagements over your impressions. Then there's things like CTR, click-through rate, percentage of people who clicked versus who saw, CPA, cost per acquisition. How much did you spend to get one customer? And then there's return on ad spend, revenue generated per dollar spent on ads. So something really important for short form or just videos in general is your retention graph. So your retention graph looks something like this. Now, this is going to tell you when your viewers drop off. So in the first 3 seconds, if your chart is going straight down, then that means your hook sucks. So you got to get that hook better, buddy. We can talk about hooks in another video. But if your video is steady and it's slowly going down, that means your video is great. It's keeping viewers engaged. But if you have like something, it's going, and then at like 10 seconds it drops, something at that point made the viewers skip the video. So definitely study up on retention graphs because that's going to be the key to videos and how they perform. So like I said, if the video is going slowly down, YouTube or Instagram is going to push that content way more because people can see value in the content. So in the checklist below, I'm going to have more metrics that you can study and make sure you know before you go into your interview. So there's different types of media. There's owned media. So owned media is like the social media or any content that you create as a brand. That's owned media. Paid is when you pay to get in front of eyeballs like social ads. And earned media is interesting because that's media that could be customer reviews. That could be if you're running a campaign and you're like, it could be like, show me your moves when you drink a Coca-Cola. And customers or people in your audience create content, and that's earned media. You're earning content. It's content that they just are making for you because they want to make it for you. Or you're running a campaign. Like I said, you're saying you give them a prompt and they respond back. That's kind of like that UGC stuff. Which, let's dive into that type of content. So let's dive into the types of content. There's the UGC, like I said, user-generated content. Real people, real reactions, and it feels authentic. And then there's the influencer content, partnering with creators who have established audiences. So, like, for example, PrizePicks has Drewski. They're making tons of ads with them, or they're making tons of social content with other partners. Then there's the reactionary and narrative-driven content, timely, relevant, and you're jumping on trends. So it could be the memes. It could be like LeBron just dunked on so-and-so, and you're creating content in that moment. Then there's evergreen content. It's always relevant. It can be posted anytime. So content, it could be like top 5 gym equipment that you should implement in your regimen. Just anything that is going to be any kind of tutorial, tips, stuff like that. And then there's the community engagement. So this is your comments, your replies, you're building that relationship content, whether that's commenting under other brands or commenting underneath your own content. These are all different types of content that you need to think about. Think about these as different tools or different pawns, if you will, to play your social media game. So then there's my performance formula. So when you're creating content, it needs to be relevant. It needs to be timely, and you need to have your own take. So this kind of is for trends in a way. It needs to be relevant, it needs to be timely, and it needs to have your own take. That equals performance. So if you're a sports brand and let's say sports brand 1, 2, and 3 are reporting LeBron dunking on so-and-so, but your brand is also reporting on it. So you have your relevant, the LeBron thing happening. It's timely, it's in the moment, but you have your own take. Maybe it's a funny take. Maybe it's more informative than the rest. That makes you stand out, and that's what makes you your brand. There's definitely way more in-depth formulas, but this is what you can have in the back of your mind to make sure your content can perform. So we got our trends in the future. Sorry, I'm looking at the board. The positions you can apply to, the trends and the metrics and the language of social media and what types of content you can make. Let's dive into what's working right now and what content belongs where. So let's talk about the do's and don'ts on platforms. Instagram, let's definitely have high quality visuals. Everyone cares about aesthetics on Instagram. Reels and carousels are killing it right now. The reels can also be a higher quality production as well. Come here, I got a secret to tell you on Instagram. Definitely use ManyChat. ManyChat is basically a cheat code for getting engagement. So if you're, let's say, a lot of people use ManyChat to be like, here are my top 3 things that you should get this Christmas. And then you go through blah, 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 the video, and then you say, comment below, comment Christmas, and I'll send you my Christmas list in the DMs. So that just prints engagement under your video, and that makes it get pushed out even more on Instagram. I'm pretty sure ManyChat is experimenting with TikTok, so we'll see what happens. They also just came out with a feature where every time someone follows you, you can send them an automatic DM. But it could be spammy, so I'm not sure how that'll affect things. Some don'ts for Instagram. Do not, for the sake of God, in 2026, do not put links in your captions. They will not be able to be clicked. Instagram will actually not push your content if you have links in it. It comes off as spammy. It comes off as you're not from this generation. And yeah, just don't do that. But don't ignore stories. Instagram stories are good for, I found myself going on Instagram, if I just have a second, to just click through stories, and you kind of get that latest news stuff from your friends and your brands and whatnot. So definitely experiment with stories. Quality over content on Instagram, for sure. Some general tips, definitely you can use trending audios, but what's always going to work is nailing your hooks in any kind of videos you do, whether it's a visual hook, audio hook, on-screen text hooks. Just nail that stuff. You also want to always engage with the comments. If you only have 3 comments, you're going to respond to all 3. And make sure, if I see you comment just an emoji, get out of here. Emojis are stupid. Your comments need to either be informative or be entertaining. If it's not either of those two, no one's going to want to engage back with your comment, and no one's going to care. And it's not going to get the reach you want. So always, always, always think to yourself when someone says, even if the comment has just emojis, say something back about the emojis. So let me show you my Mercedes clip. So why I think this did well is because it was, like I said, relevant, timely, and we took our own take on it. So this Mercedes just came out, or the concept came out like that day, and I jumped on it. And the visuals were great, the hook was great, and we had our unique take on it. As you can see, did pretty well. Let's move on to TikTok. The do's and don'ts of TikTok. Definitely jump on trends, even though part of your content mix, if you will, you can include trends, but you definitely need to make it raw and authentic on TikTok. It's not, you don't really want to do like you do on Instagram, you definitely don't need to have super fleshed out and highly produced content on TikTok, because that stuff doesn't perform as well. So TikTok kind of rewards more volume, so don't overthink your content. Get it out there, test, experiment, and then just repeat what's working. And people go on there to be entertained, so make sure you're providing value or entertainment. Generally, some good tips are posting multiple times a day. Like I said, comments and engaging with your people under your content or another brand's content, or even influencers. Just make sure you're doing comments. So my famous Lakers in 5 video. So going back to that same formula, relevance, timeliness, and our own take. So I did this at PrizePicks. It was super fun to make. Basically, there's this trend, which is kind of like that relevance, this Lakers in 5 meme that was happening. And there was also kind of this other side meme where LeVar Ball was posting, and his content was just like going crazy, and because he was just so funny. And so literally as soon as I was making that video, he came out with a LeVar in 5, and I added that into the video. But the reason why I think it did so well is because I added the LeVar in 5, and it combined these memes and all together, and it was just this great synergy. It was awesome. So the learnings from that is, like I said, like if you can grab something that's relevant and you're on the moment, you're going to get that gold. And you got to have your own take, or else you're just going to saturate your people's feed and no one's going to give a shit. So Twitter, let's talk about Twitter. Speaking of relevance and timeliness, this is like, you have to be posting in seconds. Like from what I've experienced, it's insane to get engagement. You got to be fast, you got to be funny, you got to be snappy. You can quote tweet if you can have your own take, if it's better than the original tweet. Engaging with replies, like if you get anything from this video, comments and engaging with people is like key to success on social, because it takes time, and it just you got to be witty too, or just know your facts to be performative. So you can also, let me show you a trick on X where you can find great content. So you can go to like replies, reaction memes accounts, and you literally, let's say it's this one, you like go to share and then you post the video, copy that link. Don't post it like that, but if you want to do it in a reply, you go copy that post link, go to where you want to reply it, comment, paste it, and then it will actually embed and not be like a post. Definitely the way to grow your account is commenting under other profiles. I think it's really hard to gain traction just posting tweets and stuff. Where people are going to actually see your content is underneath other people's replies, and that's how you're going to build your following. So, don't want to sound like a broken record, but the timeliness for this example that I did, the NFL score bug, this was during the Super Bowl, and oh my God, I got this up showing the quality, obviously wouldn't take long, but the first time the score bug came up, everyone was talking about it. I sketched it up, boom, sent it out, did well. So reactionary content on like current events and trending narratives is key on X. All right, now that we've talked about what's working on the platforms and what you should do and not do on the platforms, let's get into the toolkit you need. So there's going to be 2 tiers. The first tier is kind of that beginner level of content creation, and then the second tier is that next level, what you really need to do to stand out. So for content creation, we're talking about like Canva, CapCut, your phone. These are all great things to start in, but definitely you want to move up to the next level as soon as you can. CapCut, it's great for mobile editing and great templates, but it's really hard to get like branding into it. I'd say like 90% of TikTokers probably use this. And Canva is getting better. Canva is a great starting point, but it's definitely kind of similar to PowerPoint, and with just a little bit more templates. I don't know. I think you really want to dive into the next step, which we'll get into in a bit. But the pros of Canva, the templates are great. You can get a lot of inspiration from the templates, and they have a branding thing you can put all your colors and your fonts in. That's great. But we do use it at CBT News, and it's great. But personally, I prefer Figma. So like I said, you can go in, and they have tons of social media templates. It gets you started on the right sizes. It is great to get into, but definitely you want to go to the next level. But first, let's go into some of the scheduling tools that you might use. Metricool or Later, decent tools, but I personally use Sprout Social, and it's just very in-depth, which is in tier 2. So I would start learning some of these. so you can learn how to schedule and make sure everything's right on the calendar. Analytics tools. So like I said, Sprout Social is the GOAT for that. Still in tier 2, but for starting off, definitely look into your analytics on your Instagram, your whatever platform you're on. It's always going to give you the most accurate and best insights. In tier 2, it's all about the Adobe products personally. Premiere, Photoshop, After Effects. That's kind of that next level. And let me show you a few things in Photoshop. So to get started, so let's dive in. So for a new file, you click New File. And let's say we're going to make a just standard Instagram graphic. You want to do 1080 by 1350 and 300 resolution. Create. So here's your canvas. I'll run through a couple of tools that are helpful. First off, the shape tool. You press the square or the rectangle to change the curves. Go like that. You can also do it over here. To change the color, you can go into the fill, change whatever. And then if you want to do text, hit T, press hello. That's not how you spell hello. Wow. Hello, Michael. And then let's get into what else is helpful. Let's bring in an image. So you can just drag in an image, some lady on her phone. If you want to, take out blemishes or whatever, you can do that. Let's take out her eyebrow. Make sure you rasterize it. I'm pressing the brackets to make the brush bigger. Boom, no more eyebrows. So that is the spot healing brush tool. But yeah, definitely dive into Photoshop and learn how to manipulate photos, how you can change colors. Here's a big tip. Learn camera raw filter. It's going to make your photos look way better. Maybe not like this one, but you kind of want to usually go down to the detail, put some sharpening, effects, clarity, play around with what looks good for your application. So then you have Premiere. So Premiere is kind of like the go-to video editing platform for everybody. You can use DaVinci or whatever, but this is pretty standard. So let's dive into a quick tutorial on Premiere. New project. We'll just call it video. Create. This is where you drag in your videos. And yeah, let's just pull in a picture of me. So we have that picture to make sure you're going to create, if you're creating stories or reels, 1080, 1920, boom. So that's the format you want. To get this kind of boundary thing, you want to go down here, press this box. Yeah, play around, effect controls. So if you click on your image or video, this is how you control the scale, where it's located. You can crop me out. You can change the opacity here. Quick tutorial on keyframes. So if you want to have your picture to go small to big, make sure you click this little watch. Start from this scale, move the timeline thing over. Then you do that. And then you go back, and then it's like, wow, that's awesome. You can also here's a little bonus tip, highlight. If you want to make it nice and smooth, easy in. Wow. So you can do loads of effects. I recommend getting some presets to help you out. Now let's go into my favorite tool, Figma. So here's a sneak peek of the slides I'm going to do for Papa John's. But basically, it's kind of like Photoshop or more Illustrator. There's frames. So this is what this is. And to create a frame, you go down here, do that. Kind of pretty similar stuff. You can change to if you're going to make a graphic, like I said, you can make shapes. It's all pretty intuitive. If you want to use the pen tool, hold down, just do that. I didn't quite catch that. And then you can do some fill, change the stroke. Super awesome. And then over here are all your layers. It's pretty messy. Sorry about that. T for text. Oh, you can also do T right on a shape. Pretty cool. They're also implementing a lot of AI tools. So if you want to do generative expand, take away stuff, that's what they're doing over here. I like it because it's really easy to make custom templates, and it's kind of a standard for ads, like display ads, social ads for the creative part. So yeah, I love Figma, so hope you better go check it out. So diving into Sprout, like I said, Sprout is kind of the industry standard for social media management, content calendar stuff. I can't go into my account because it's going to have all the data, but basically you're going to want to go to your publishing, and then you'll get all your calendar. Basically just search up a couple tutorials. It's great for if you want to tag content for campaigns so you can track them. You can interact with comments. You have some social listening tools on there. So definitely check that out. Hootsuite's pretty similar, but I prefer Sprout Social. It is expensive, but it's pretty good. Some resources that I go to find textures or pictures, images, videos. Pexels has a ton of high quality images, but they're pretty stock photo-y, so use them sparingly. Texture Labs is great for textures. They're all for free, and it's like the best library of textures you can just get for free. It's ridiculous. There's a few more that I'll add into the checklist, so go down there, get the link to the Google Doc, and then run that up. So if you're looking for some inspiration or competitive research, Meta Ad Library is a great tool to look at any kind of creative. Let's say PrizePicks is running ads. You can see all the ads that they're currently running. Lululemon, or anyone, Apple, you can see all the creative and the content that they're pushing on Meta's platforms. You can also use Social Blade to track competitor growth and stats, but you can do that in Sprout. So when you're using these tools, have something in mind, like that's the way to learn. Have something in mind you want to make, and then go find the tutorial for that thing. I wouldn't go into a 1 hour, 3 hour course that's like how to use Photoshop. Look up, I want to make this kind of video or this kind of animation. Look up that tutorial and you'll learn the tool as you go along. Here's a little quick tip that I've learned through just like corporate career and how you can actually pitch ideas to your boss. So create the content first. Don't just say, here's an idea, here's a thought. Really flesh out the idea and put some creative and like pictures to the idea. So it makes it so much more easier for them to say yes. And so that's kind of what we're going to do later for the pitch deck. It just makes a company or your boss say yes that much easier. So in this next part, let's talk about brand. I'm going to give you a mini branding lesson. A lot of these ideas come from Caleb Ralston. Shout out to him. So he calls it the brand journey framework, and you basically are working backwards to plan out what you want. So the first question you want to ask yourself or for the brand is, what do you want? What is the outcome you want? Let's say for Duolingo, they want to be the number one for learning languages. Then the next question is, what do you have to be known for to make that happen? So for Duolingo, they are setting up their social media is entertaining. They want to be known for being that easy app to get into learning a language, and that's what they display on their social media. So the next question is, what do you have to do to get to that point? So you got to create the social, you got to create the marketing behind it. Those are the things you need to do to get to that next point. So what do you or the brand need to learn to become that thing? They need to maybe outsource getting content creators. They need to know the general landscape of social media. They need to know their audience. So that's a quick summary of his brand journey framework. And I think it's a very helpful guide for your personal brand and if you're working for a brand. So we're going to dive into more of what you're going to go through, the actual process of kind of when you're applying for a job. This is what I would do when I'm going to make a competitive analysis. So on my phone, I've pulled up some of Papa John's social media accounts, and they're doing great. They got 646,000 followers on Instagram. So usually I just like to scroll and see what they've been up to. This is going to help me understand what kind of content they're doing and what's working and what's not working. I can already say right off the bat, they're following a lot of trends, and but I think they could do better. They don't have any kind of link in their bio, which it could be a strategic thing or something that they want to avoid. But personally, I would want to get either app downloads or be able to order straight through the Instagram or something. Be able to do that. This wallpapers button, it's cool. Like the concept's cool. I guess it's on brand, but it just kind of is an eyesore, that green. It doesn't really match like the vibe of the Instagram that they have. What they are doing and what they're pushing is Club Papa, which is cool as their kind of group chat for Instagram. But yeah, overall, they're doing pretty well. I would say, their day-to-day content could be better. Not that it's not doing well, but they're chasing too many trends, like the TikTok trends. There needs to be more evergreen content. So let's check out TikTok. TikTok, same kind of thing. They only have 160,000 followers. There's no link to anything, but there needs to be, whether that's better, I think there needs to be like a real personality on this channel. You have your partner, the guy that does all the flipping pizza and stuff. It's great, but there's no like real personality behind. It's not authentic enough. So these are the things I'm looking for when I'm auditing a brand. They're doing well. They have multiple millions of views on some videos, but it's not making me want to be a fan on their social media. So also what else I like to do is start scrolling through some of their competitors. You can click this button right here, and then you can see similar accounts. Marco's Pizza, how are they doing? They're doing all right. The thing is, I think there's so much opportunity with these pizza accounts to have like a real personality instead of like, what kind of pizza are you going to build today? Whether that's like skit stuff, like that's truly owned by Papa John's. I really like this garlic thing that they did for Christmas. Kind of looks like a Zin can, so I don't know if they were going for that. But yeah, check out their competitors. Let's see what Little Caesars is doing. They kind of lean into more of the memes, and they're really good at that. They're also really good at leaning into NFL players. They kind of are dominating that NFL pizza party kind of thing, which to give you guys a little sneak peek on the pitch deck, that's going to be like our goal for Papa John's, is to be the number one pizza for football. So let's get really, really into the nitty gritty. Where'd my Figma go? All right, let's delete that. So I'm telling you, when you're applying to these jobs, you definitely want to make a few pitch decks for these people. I would say shoot out tons of resumes and whatnot, but when you see one that like you can really grab onto or you think you have a good chance, make a pitch deck like this. So I got Papa John's, Mike, kind of my branding. And what you want to do for your pitch decks, you want to make it feel like you understand their tone and like you can put their branding into your voice and use their voice to amplify what you're saying. So I would say the first slide, do something simple like that. Then go straight into who you are, have a good headshot. If you don't have a headshot, like I don't trust you, I don't know who you are. Have some logos of projects you've worked on, or have some companies that you've worked with, and a little blurb about yourself and your contact information, which I'm going to blur out. So like I said, this is going to be a pretty bare bones pitch deck. You can really fill this out and make it very extensive, but just for this video, I'm going to keep it really simple and kind of hit on the top like bases of what you need. So like I said, use the audit you used earlier, throw it into this deck, show where they're at, where they could be, and like kind of analyze it. So like I said, they have a solid social presence, keeping up with trends and narratives, leaning on creators is great, and the branding is, it's there, but it could be better. Their strengths, Papa John's is great at keeping up with these trends and have such a distinct voice, but I think it could be better. Like you can see, like they have a lot of their branding colors. They have a lot of their brand colors in the graphics they make, which is great, but I think it needs to be less computer graphics and more authentic content. So your weaknesses, your views are there, but the engagement is really low You're not getting a ton of comments on Instagram. Like you'll get 20,000 views and 200 likes. Like I'd like to see more with that. You also don't have platform specific content. You're really repurposing content from Instagram to TikTok, which is fine sometimes, but TikTok is more that authentic vibes and Instagram is that more highly produced stuff. So Papa John's is really good at hopping on trends, but there seems to be a disconnect with the audience. So at Prize Picks, we would see trends, but sometimes you don't want to hop on every single trend. You got to know what aligns with your people and your audience. There doesn't really feel like a mission or goal for existing on social media. It feels like you're just keeping up with trends and there's no real tone. You want to include like who their competitors are. I'm sure they probably obviously know who their competitors are. I would do a deep dive on their competitors, what they're doing well and what kind of opportunities you can take advantage of if you get hired for this role. So like I said, I think there's a lot of opportunity in the pizza space because a lot of them don't have like a real authentic tone or voice on their social medias. So let's dive into the campaign that I'm really excited about for Papa John's. So to give you some background, the next Super Bowl is in California and it's at Levi Stadium. What better pants would you wear to eat with your pizza? Papa John's is built for the Levi stretch. So I created this campaign and like marketing this strategic partnership with the Levi's. I think it'd be really fun to include this so kind of like a little description would be Papa John's pizzas are so loaded, so satisfying, so indulgent that regular jeans tap out at 3 slices. But Levi's stretch, they're built different. They're made for moments like this. So it's kind of combining like that comfort food and comfort clothing on game days, because a lot of people wear jeans on game days. And the Super Bowl pizza opportunity. So obviously we know the Super Bowl is just growing in popularity. 123 million viewers last year, and people are ordering pizza. And Papa John's needs to be the king of game day and Super Bowl. And I think they can own the moment. I think they can really grasp onto the Levi and making it a whole thing. So every day, everyone has a pizza uniform. 67% of Super Bowl viewers changed into comfortable clothes. Stretchy pants is mentioned 2.3 million times on game day social media. The more pizza, the more comfort you need. Premium pizza demands premium comfort. So this could, for the content side, this can turn into so many things. You can turn into UGC stuff like you're eating your pizza on your jeans and it's like hashtag pants, pizza eating pants, in my pizza eating pants, Papa's pants, but there's tons of UGC opportunity, tons of opportunity with other partners to get influencers involved. I think it just has that synergy of a chill company, chill vibes with Levi, and you're only eating Papa John's in your Levi's jeans. So back to that formula, it's timely, it's relevant, it's in the moment. It's you're capturing that tentpole event of the Super Bowl, attaching strategic partners to the brand, and where that comes from, you can make other events before the main event, the Super Bowl, and you can get tons and tons of content just from that. So you could do like you have, like I said, like I have in the picture that I made, the embossed or the little pizza embroidery thing on the pants. You could have a day where you fly out influencers and they're making these custom jeans with just regular people, and then regular people are creating content because they're at this cool event. And so that's earned media. Like, this is such a great moment. Obviously, this can be like a 100-page document, but just for kind of like showing off what you can think of and like the depth you can think of. So you want to show off how you can actually turn these events into content, or what does your everyday content look like? So that's something I could have done better in this pitch deck, is include more of these everyday topics. Like I would do more, maybe a little skit series, like I said. All right, so let's dive into the last segment of this show. We're talking about the portfolio aspect of it. So you got your pitch deck, you understand everything about social media, and you're ready to really dive in. So let's dive into LinkedIn. LinkedIn is going to be your go-to place to find jobs. I mean, there's really nowhere else that's going to have the best jobs. Look at that. Social media content creator intern for Duolingo just popped up. $38. Sorry, I thought I wasn't recording. $38 to $40 an hour. Wow. But it's in New York, so that's like $5 an hour, really, in reality. Just kidding. So let's dive into my profile. My profile is by no means perfect, but I think it's doing pretty decent. So have a nice picture up here in the header. It has all the brands that I've worked with, but you could have like some metrics that stand out, or kind of some collage of projects that you've done if you're starting out. So always have a nice clean headshot of yourself. If you have your fraternity or sorority or your graduation pictures, like, come on, just find someone to do photos for you. Next, your headline. Make sure you have like keywords in this. Mine could be better, but social media and content creation I think is good enough, because I'm kind of free flowing, and I also have side projects on top of my current job. So I don't really want to tie down to just I am this role at this company. In your about section, make sure you have keywords and what you've done, your high level stuff. Like I have some of the big stuff that I've done at Prize Picks, DraftKings, and now CBT News. Built viral campaigns, viral memes and content. Make sure you mention that. And make sure when you're going through some of the job descriptions that you've looked at, make sure you have some of the keywords that they're looking for in your about. And then if you have some projects that you want to show off, definitely put that in your featured section. It just makes your profile look like it's alive and you're actually like doing stuff. It's hard to describe, but when you look at other people's profiles and they just don't have anything, especially if you're in content creation and you want to be in a field of creating things, I'm not going to hire someone that doesn't have anything on their profile. So your post, make sure you have your experience filled out. If you have any experience in college that is creating stuff, any clubs that you've done to create stuff, anything that you've done for leading, make sure you have that in this. And make sure you also, should have done this sooner than later when I apply to jobs, is make sure you fill out the description on what you've done at the job. So some of my highlights: increased follower count, blah, 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 was a part of these events, was a part of these campaigns, and then make sure you tag some of the stuff that you've done. So when you're looking for jobs on LinkedIn, you want to look for, social media manager, and just go through these, crank them out. Like 2 or 3 a day when you really need a job is not enough. Like I'm talking about 30 to 50 a day at least. And reach out to people. Reach out to people in your network. If you have no business owners, make work for them for free. Like that will just give you experience to add to your resume. And it's really a game. Like you just gotta build up your stuff. So what I think is a game changer for creating or for making it into a job is having a portfolio website. So put the money in and get a custom domain. It's worth it. It's like $2 or something a year. I don't even know. So this is my portfolio website. My website's pretty basic. It has a highlight reel, which, secret tip, if you have a ton of great content that you've made, put it all in a video for a 30 to 1 minute video, 30 seconds to a minute video. And it just, people love that stuff. Employers can see what you've made, and it just, if I see that and I'm like, oh wow, this person did all this stuff, it shows off your animation, your graphics, the campaigns that you've done. So really take the time to make one of those too, if you can. But make sure you have that traditional resume, make sure you have this website. So as you can see, I have a little bit about me section, a little paragraph, some of the brands I've worked with, Prize Picks. You go onto the page, it has some content that I've made, some campaigns I've done. I think this is huge. Having recommendations, if you ask for them, like if it's from a professor or whoever that you've worked with, make sure you have those in here because it just shows more credibility to what you've done. And also add some personality. I put some music I like in here, and then like a newsletter that I run or used to run. Now it's not really existing, but have all your contact information in there as well. So let me run through Framer. Framer is like the best for making a website. If you're on that Canva wave, I think you can build websites in Canva. I would also, if you're not savvy with the internet, which you really need to be in a role like this, but I would do maybe Adobe portfolio sites. They do stuff. But here's a quick tutorial on Framer. So Framer is very similar to Figma. And so this is one big frame. And I could do like another whole hour tutorial on Framer. But basically this is just a block. They're blocks inside of blocks. And you make a frame. These are blocks. So within the blocks on this side, to put it super simply, this is how the blocks react to the other blocks. So if you want them to stack horizontally, you can press this, or you can do vertical like that, and then that will change. So it's pretty similar to like using Figma or Photoshop, but figuring out the structure is a whole nother video. So maybe I'll do one of those. So one last tip before we go, here's a couple things you can do that are on platforms that are helpful for finding content, how like viral content and whatnot. So if let's say Papa John's, you want to see Papa John's best performing content, you go to the Reels, double click the Reels button and click most viewed. You can break these. They have multi-million viewed content. So you can break these down and see what did well and whatnot. Another thing I like to do on TikTok is, say you're looking up for like an athlete or whatever, let's say Patrick Mahomes, and you're looking for a meme, put in his name, go on the three dots on the top. Then you can sort by like count, the date posted, past 24 hours. Let's do like count in 24 hours. So you can see like what's popular and what's trending right now. So just a little easy tidbit. So those are a couple last tips that I would recommend just to like know stuff about social media. Yeah, I really hope this was helpful. I think hopefully it wasn't too scrambled, and I wish I could go more in depth on the Papa John stuff because it's real. I came up with it today recording, and I wish it was more in depth, but I have to get this video out. So hopefully you understand the landscape of social media, the types of jobs, the metrics, the language of social media, then the branding part of things, like where you want to go, how can people associate things to your brand, plus the Papa John's pitch deck. Use that as an example to apply to other jobs. And then your portfolio. Hopefully you got some tips on your LinkedIn, on your portfolio site, and applying to jobs. So leave some comments below. I'll help you out with whatever. If you want content ideas, campaign ideas, there's tons and tons of stuff that I can help you with. But yeah, hopefully this video was helpful, and signing out.